Good morning.
Good morning.
That's pretty good for Wednesday morning, isn't it? After the third day of the conference, I like it. And thank you so much for joining us for this session. I think that most of you have been able to see or already know Claudia Summers, Suzanne LaDoyan, and myself. We've been around a little while, and I see a lot of familiar faces. But I did want to take just a minute to introduce our fourth panelist, and that is Allison Ellis. And she is, I'm going to just read her little bio real quick. And some of you might be saying, you know, it's more dangerous than you think, and what's that all about? Well, probably close to 10 years ago, Kelly Ransdale and Commissioner Jim Long were instrumental in this hot cars began to become a hot issue. And somehow it was a really hot day, and Commissioner Jim Long came out to an event that we were doing in Raleigh on Capitol Boulevard at Lowe's Home Improvement Store. And somehow, you know, Kelly had gotten this idea about doing the s'mores and melting, or he said something about being really hot. And Kelly kind of was instrumental in this ever becoming sort of the Department of Insurance, Office of State Fire Marshal, State Kids, North Carolina approach to that. There are many great programs, and you know a lot of them. And that's what we're going to talk about today, some of the new campaigns, things you can do in your community. And Suzanne will be sharing some local successes that we've had. But just to review just a minute, since 1998, there's been more than 550 deaths, kids in and around cars, hot cars. And when you think about people, some 50% are forgotten, a little over 50% were actually not intentional. But then what really upsets me, you know, when you think about 30% were able to gain access and were sort of like laying in the car, got trapped in the car, and then 17% were intentional. Like, yeah, they left them, they ran in and didn't think it would be any problem, they would be right back. And, you know, we use 10 minutes a lot of times. What can happen in 10 minutes? What can you do in 10 minutes? Well, kids can die in a lot less than 10 minutes. And last August, I don't know if you remember, I bet a lot of you that are involved with Say Kids and get some awareness there probably remember this. We called it a national alert because in 7 days, 8 kids died. Hot cars. Their bodies heat up 3 to 5 times quicker than an adult. They just can't deal with being left in heat for any amount of time. I mean, their bodies aren't even, their cooling system hasn't developed fully, so that's really bad. And then, again, this is kind of, we're not talking about just hot cars, we're talking about trunk entrapment, backovers, frontovers. All of this is what we say, you know, and I think it applies still. It's more dangerous than you think for a kid to be left in or around a car. And in addition to our North Carolina campaign that we've had a lot of success with, NHTSA has a great program that they launched last year that was avoid these situations, leaving your child even for a second, create reminders. And if some of you that helped us at the fair last year, you remember we had showed the apps and how you can leave your pocketbook, your cell phone on the back seat, create reminders. That's so important. Daycares, have the daycare call you immediately if your child doesn't show up and you haven't called in that they were sick. And the T for take action. When you see a situation, don't just, you know, kind of slow down and look in there and say, that doesn't look right, and keep walking, and, you know, I don't want to mind somebody else's business. You need to treat every situation. If you ever see a child left alone, you need to call immediately. It is an emergency. And first responders know how to handle it and what to do. So it's much better for them to come out and the mother to pop back up and, you know, don't take chances, because we know of some situations where neighbors saw something and walked on by and, you know, thought, I don't want to get in their business, I don't want to get a parent upset, but that's not the right thing to do. So take action immediately. Okay, our first speaker, I'll wrap up at the end. I got a couple more things, but I think we need to save it towards the end. And just now, just so I can kind of get you thinking in that mode, at the conclusion of this session, we have a demo car, thanks to Bobby Murray, that's out front, and we want you to come out there because we've got some things to show you. And also Allison's going to be there to answer questions and show some special features. And I was negligent in my introductions. There's a couple people, 3 people actually, I want to recognize that are so, we just appreciate you being here today. And these are from Carl Carruthers from Bobby Murray Chevrolet, Kelly Coles from General Motors, and George Molina. And thank you so much for taking time. I know everyone's busy and has lots of places to be and go, but they were so kind to join us for this session. And I've been trying to tell them a lot about you, and hopefully they're going to learn a lot about why we are always partnering with Chevrolet and General Motors. And for those of you that aren't so heavily in Safe Kids, I hope you know that they're great partners, and the dealerships. I mean, we could not do our work, I think Suzanne will tell you, without their generosity and support, because it does make a huge difference when you're trying to get a point across, when you can actually show parents what you're talking about. I'm going to ask Claudia to come up at this time, and she's going to share a story with us.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
For those that don't know me, my name is Claudia Summers. I am from Morganton, which is a little bit west from here. I've been in child passenger safety since 2001, became an instructor in 2003. And those that know me know that my career has nothing to do with safety, with law enforcement, with fire, but I am basically just very passionate about what I do. Every day I try to help people with car seats, help people with safety. It's just who I am. But the sad thing is that I come here today to tell you a personal story that happened 3 years ago. In fact, it happened about 3 days before I went to teach a car seat class. It happened on Easter Sunday. I actually was at the beach with my family. My sister calls, and she said, "Claudia, Caleb has died." Caleb is my nephew, or my great-nephew. It's her grandson. And you have to excuse me. This particular day, he was with his dad at home. They had some friends at the house to work on a car. And the car that they were working on was on jacks, kind of sitting up. A friend had come over to help my nephew with the car and pulled in. Well, he brought his 2 young children with him in a Tahoe GM car. And the 2 young kids, they were around 2, 3 years of age from what I understand. During the process of the time, they did what they were going to do. The guy was going to leave with his kids in the car. My nephew, Daniel, he said, "Wait a minute, I got to tell you something." So the guy pulled back into the driveway. Not sure exactly. We know that the car was off, but he pulled in the driveway, got out of the car to talk to my nephew. Next thing you know, the car rolls. When it rolls down the driveway, which was an embankment, kind of a downward incline, it rolls into the car that was on jacks. Caleb was between the 2 vehicles. From what we understand, when the impact happened, he was crushed between the 2 cars. The car that was on jacks moved and fell, and when it did, he fell. Then the Tahoe rolled over him. We do know that one of the 2 children that were in the vehicle was in the front seat. I'm not sure if by happen chance, and this is something that probably the GM dealers could explain, possibly, but somehow the vehicle went into gear and did roll. So, few seconds was there. It really didn't happen. It wasn't like a long-term thing. It happened within seconds. The guy wasn't out of the vehicle more than long enough to walk 200 feet. So, even though this is not anything about the hot vehicle thing, just know that it takes seconds for something to happen. Poor Caleb was just playing in his yard, having a good time. And the other fortunate thing that happened that day was there was a man under the vehicle, underneath the car that was being fixed. He had just got out of the vehicle, got out from under it when the car rolled down. So we could have had 2 fatalities that day. So, please, in your everyday lives, if you see, like Dan said, if you see something odd, please say something. Because it may be your family member the next time. And I hate to see that happen. So, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Claudia. I know that was very difficult, and we had a minute to talk yesterday, and I said that I felt like she was honoring the memory of her nephew by sharing that story, because it might make one of us take action or recognize a situation in the future and prevent someone else from having to go through this loss. And next, Suzanne's up, and she's going to talk about some local successes we've had.
Good morning. Those of you that know me probably know that I don't need a microphone, so but I'll do my best to try. Well, at least that's what my husband says. I wanted to talk to you. Jan invited me to talk to you about s'mores campaigns that we do at our agency every year, and I know I'm in a room full of people that do the exact same thing on a regular basis. So she did ask me. She has partnered with me and has been single-handedly responsible for us having several very successful campaigns at my agency, and we've benefited from Jan's work in the community more than she'll ever know, as well as Bobby Murray Chevrolet. And I know that we've called on them many times, and it's not, you know, it's when do you need it and where does it need to be, and that says a lot to us to really support the work that we do. I'm going to show you some photographs really quickly from an event that we do every year, and just briefly mention to you what we think has helped us have successes. And again, many of you may have much better ideas and have done things much differently, but we did want to share some things with you about ours. We do a yearly kickoff in Wake County, and one thing that we started doing this several years ago, and part of that is several years ago we also had 2 children that died in our parking lot at our health department. Those children were left inside of their vehicle as their mother went in to pick up WIC at our agency. So that's been a long time ago. I mean, it's been about 15 years ago, and that was long before this campaign, you know, was developed. And when this campaign came out, instantly I told Jan, I said, I want to do it. You know, when can we do it? And again, she said, where do you want to do it? We'll do it. And it's been a huge success for us. So we do that in Wake County. We choose to do that at one of our main centers. We have centers in other parts of the county, but we chose the one that has the largest volume of traffic. And we literally just set up it right out front. And we, of course, pick a hot time. But as you all know, hyperthermia can happen on a 72-degree day in the shade. It just has a huge impact for us. And I'll be very honest, part of this for us is not just reaching the people. It is. It's doing the education. But we've got nurses and social workers and outreach workers that are doing that every day in the homes and in the clinics. But for us, we really want to saturate the media, because we feel like if we can get that word out with the media, then it can really make an even bigger impact in the community. So the past 2 years, we've had media from all the media has shown up, and that's been a really good for us and good advertisement for all of us across the state for that to be in the news. And I know many of you have done a lot of media as well with it. For us, we couldn't do it without partnerships. I've already mentioned that. This is some of our folks, and several of my ladies that are in here that I work with now are instrumental in helping make this happen as well. I pick on Gina in the back, who's one of my probably best advocates that I have, as well as the other ladies here. And you know, when you ask somebody to help you out and you tell them, but they say, yeah, we'll do it, and then they realize it's going to be in July in the heat outside for the day, setting up and doing all of that. So it takes a lot of sacrifice. This is all one of our local fire departments in Mooresville who they come from Mooresville to help us in Raleigh, and that's definitely out of their district, but they definitely came and they stayed and they work with us. Our Safe Kids brings other partners as well in Wake County to help us do this. And these are just some more pictures of how we set the car up that Bobby Murray provides for us every year. Brings the car, we set it out front, and we literally are cooking the s'mores in the vehicle and serving those to folks that are coming through. Resources, I just say use your resources, you know, try to get things donated if you can. Our Safe Kids has been very generous and provided support for us. My agency definitely has buy-in to that and provides that for us too. But, you know, we have resource lists. If you contact myself, I know, or Jan, or other folks in here that do them on a regular basis, there's a list of supplies you need, and if you get that one time, then you can carry that over from year to year, and all you have to do is buy the supplies to make those s'mores. And again, media advocacy. This was one year when we did it, and we were both doing interviews simultaneously at one time on the noon lunch, and so it's just an example. We also had our local Spanish-speaking media there to cover it for us, which worked out very well. Although they tell me, and I'll pick on Betsy, that s'mores doesn't translate very well. So they're urging me to pick something else. So I think we're going to get creative this year and choose something else that translates better for sure. But it still, had an impact even for that community for us. And again, this is showing us, talking with the media, and it can get busy, so having more than one person there that you feel is an authorized person to talk about it is very helpful, to make sure that the message is consistent that you're sending out in the community. And again, this is our special populations. We have an outreach worker that's amazing. Her name is Minerva, and she truly works tirelessly in the community to educate folks. And this is her working with the families. She puts the families first and the media last. She lets the media capture what she's doing, but her goal is our clients. And when folks are coming through, we're circling them around the vehicle. And like Jen said, we're talking about s'mores, but we're also hitting all aspects of children in and around cars, playing around cars, rollovers, backovers, entrapment. We're doing everything. And so Minerva just takes that family around that vehicle and captures all of that for them. And we do get them to sign pledges. We had 175 pledges the first year and 115 last year. And we asked those families to be accountable and to sign those pledges. We also asked staff to sign those pledges as well. And this is showing Minerva and myself talking to families that come through and children. The last thing I wanted to say is we went a different route this last year, and it's something that we're going to expand upon this year. We invited a local summer camp to come and bring their actual kids with them, and that worked out really well for us. And they actually brought those kids through, and we talked to the kids. I mean, we talked to the parents all the time, but we talked to the kids, and Jan will tell you some of the things that they told us. She and I were both looking at each other, shaky. What do you think we heard? Well, my daddy leaves me in the car all the time. Or my mom leaves me and goes in and drops my sister off at daycare, and she leaves me in there watching a video. Or we heard kids, are honest creatures and souls. And so we realized, and she and I looked at each other and said, we need to bring more through. So this year, we're going to do the people coming in our center, but we're contacting as many daycares as we think we can handle and summer camps. And we're going to bring them through by appointment and actually go around the vehicle and try to work with those kids as well with that. So it worked out well for us. Again, I know that you all, a lot of you do very successful campaigns. We just wanted to share some things that we were doing in Wake County. And I'll turn it over to Jan to mention a couple of slides about something that she did this year, or do you want to wait?
I'll do it real quick. And then
Okay.
you can change that.
Thank you,
Suzanne. Suzanne, as those that know her, works tirelessly and like I said, she's a great partner for Safe Kids, and she serves a population that, they really need to hear the message, as all of our communities, not only all of our citizens. It doesn't really matter, but especially to focus on that group that needs that little extra reminder. And she does pledges even with her employees, which is incredible. Just to remind them, I will never leave a child alone in the car, and if I see one, I'll call 911 immediately. Next on this slide, just to wrap this section up, for 2 years in a row, NHTSA, with about a week's notice, one year, I think the first time it was about 4 or 5 days, said, the director wants to come to Raleigh. Can you make this happen? And of course, Kelly, what do you think Kelly said? Those that know Kelly Ramsdale. Yeah, we'll do it. And so whatever we were doing, we dropped and started getting ready. So we were kind of honored, but it is, it's one of those bittersweet things. You're coming to Raleigh to talk about this. And both times parents came that spoke, like Claudia, telling their personal stories. And it was just, no matter how many times you heard it and how aware you were of the dangers and the issues, it still made a tremendous impact. And this is last year again with Bobby Murray Chevrolet providing the vehicle. You can see the signs. That's like a memorial garden. And we did this event and sort of like a reenactment. And we actually had the fire department as first responders, police, sheriff's department. We had the EMS spokesperson, the PIO, doing the speaking for us. And we had a scenario where we kind of had one of our part-time ladies, to actually call it in and had the response. So it was I think it had a great impact. And the NHTSA, again, they came, the CEO for Safe Kids Worldwide, Kate was there, and it was just, again, we hosted this event, but we couldn't have done it without a lot of community partners. We just wanted to show you, because this is the same thing you can do in your community if you're not already involved with this. This was the garden, and we had a wreath and a memorial flower, and the troopers in their dress uniforms brought the wreath out, and it was very, there's people in this room that were there, and they can tell you if you want to ask them about it. It was very touching. So We just wanted to share that with you because if you're not doing it, it doesn't have to be NHTSA coming to town to do an event. You can do it in your, strip malls. You can ask any Walmart, probably Target, any of these people, Lowe's Home Improvement, and tell them what you're trying to accomplish. And anywhere you have people and families coming and going, you can have that opportunity to make a big impact for your community. So you can go on the Safe Kids website. You can actually nominate someone if you know that somebody took time to call 911 and saved a life or made a difference. And so don't forget about that because it's a great way to get the media to tell the story, and then it carries on from there.
Thank you. All right, well, good morning. My name's Allison Ellis. Again, I'm a Chevrolet trainer, and I train dealer salespeople. So this is a little different group for me. But I wanted to talk to you about safety in and around our vehicles. So safety before, during, and after. What we've done is we use what's called a body frame integral construction. The body and the frame are one, and it's a safety cage. So there are front and rear crush zones. So we're trying to build a safer frame for the families inside the vehicle. Also, side door beams on every vehicle to help with those side collisions, to keep any intrusions out of the vehicle. We're also using an extensive amount of high-strength steel in our vehicles. To make that safety cage stronger, we use anywhere between 58 and 80% high-strength steel with our vehicles. We want to make it as strong as possible so that we can protect the occupants always in the event of an accident. Airbags, most of our vehicles are going minimally 6 airbags, but the vehicle that we have outside for you is one of the vehicles that we have now 10 airbags on. We have dual stage front airbags, we have a driver and front passenger knee airbag, which I'll talk about in a second. Head curtain side airbags for both rows. We also have 4 outboard seat-mounted thorax tube pelvic airbags. So we're trying to protect occupants in every position in the vehicles. And the number one safety feature in a vehicle for us is going to be your seat belt. We want to make sure that the occupants inside the vehicle are properly seat belted in the vehicle. Knee airbags are not in a vehicle to protect your knees. Knee airbags are in there so that those front seat occupants don't actually submarine under the dash. That allows that seat belt to do its job, to keep you upright and to allow the airbag to be a supplemental system, not something that the occupant actually hits. So we're trying in every way to keep the occupants inside the vehicle as safe as possible. And those head curtain side airbags and the seat-mounted side impact airbags for the kids in the back, that's going to essentially cocoon everyone in the vehicle to keep them as safe as possible. We have seatbelt safety comfort guides in our vehicles. This is a strap. I tried to get as good a picture as I could for you. My kids are 11 and 9, and when they're in the back seat of the vehicle, they're not quite tall enough that the seatbelt doesn't dig into their neck. Well, I think we all know what kids like to do when a seatbelt's not comfortable. They like to put it under their arm or behind their back. A seatbelt can't work if it's not properly installed. So we have this piece that is a seatbelt safety comfort guide that you can see wraps around the seatbelt, and what it does is it reroutes the seatbelt from their neck onto their shoulder so that it's comfortable and they'll wear it. So that's a great safety feature that we've implemented as well. And you won't find a GM vehicle without seatbelt safety comfort guides in the back seats. Latch, I think most of you are already familiar with the lower anchorages and top tethers for children. What I did is I just tried to get a good picture. Those are our lower anchorages in the seat, and there's the top tether anchor. And I try to educate my salespeople who try to educate the buyers that the latch child seat is what the customer buys, and then they have it properly installed by someone who is certified in latch child seats. So our salespeople at the dealership do not install child seats. That's something that we want to make sure that those kids are as safe as possible, and we are not certified in any way to install child seats. We also are implementing electronic child security door locks. Since the year 2000, On GM vehicles, if there is an airbag deployment, our lights come on inside the vehicle and our child security door locks unlock. So we want to go with electronic child security door locks so that that can happen. We do not want anyone trapped inside of a vehicle because of a manual child security door lock. So we've got that feature as well. And you'll notice when we go out to the Malibu, we also have implemented not only the electronic child security door lock, but if you want to lock out doors, you probably want to lock out windows as well. So it is a dual feature for us. We lock out windows and doors. Also, for safety on our vehicles, we've got backup cameras. Those backup cameras, you can see the grid lines on the screen here. Now, obviously, that doesn't take away the customer's responsibility to check their surroundings, but we are trying to implement the backup camera along with our ultrasonic rear park assist. One of the things that I do with my salespeople is I try to educate the salespeople. A safety feature is only a valuable safety feature if the customer understands how it works. And here's the problem with ultrasonic rear park assist. So many customers driving vehicles today have ultrasonic rear park assist, but they don't realize you have to be in reverse under 5 miles an hour in order for those ultrasonic sensors to work. So I try to get a good picture for you of the ultrasonic sensors. There's going to normally be 4 across the bumper of the vehicle, but you have to be going under 5 miles an hour. It will then detect an object that is at least 8 inches off the ground. And it's audibly going to let you know when you are as far away as 8 feet from an object behind you. So ours detects 8 feet, 40 inches, 23 inches, 12 inches. And you're actually going to get a solid audible or a quick beep for about 5 seconds when you're within 12 inches of an object. And one of the things that I think is really important, especially for me, is I have a backup camera and I have ultrasonic rear park assist. But if I know I've heard my 3rd audible beep, I'm within 23 inches of an object. If I can't tell what that object is, I'm going to stop and find out what's behind me. And that's what we need to educate our customers on, because these features are great if the customer understands how they work, okay? The trunk entrapment release, now this is something that is federally mandated. Every single car with the trunk has a glow-in-the-dark trunk entrapment release. So I tried to get you a good picture of it. If you were just to jump in the trunk of any vehicle, it does glow in the dark so that even if a child was playing in a vehicle, they would be able to see it glow and they could pull that handle and release the trunk. So there's never going to be a problem where they can't see where it is and get disoriented because of the dark. It does glow in the dark. Our OnStar system, probably honestly the best safety system ever on a vehicle. We have changed our emergency button. We used to have a cross button on there. It is now SOS. So even a child knows the universal symbol for safety is SOS. So we now have an SOS button. So if a child needed to, if mom or dad was unable to push the button, they could push the SOS button. So we want to educate more customers on that so their kids are familiar with it. And we'll talk more about OnStar. Emergency services for OnStar, automatic airbag deployment notification, automatic crash response, and it has advanced injury software. So we know how many seatbelts were actually buckled to let first responders know that we need more than one ambulance. So we have amazing features. Crisis assist, if there's a hurricane, any type of crisis, OnStar is there to help. Poison control, we have OnStar connected to CDC in Atlanta so that they can help if someone accidentally takes something, anything, okay? But obviously you must have an active OnStar subscription for all of this to work. Miscellaneous OnStar, we have in-vehicle voice messaging that will alert if there is an Amber Alert. We have holiday notifications for those kids. The last couple years, I've done a Santa tracking with my kids. My sixth grader doesn't really believe anymore, but for the last couple of years, we did a Santa tracking. We also did a monster locator at Halloween, areas to avoid where there would be zombies when you're out trick-or-treating. So OnStar is all about safety, but it's also some really fun things for the kids. So you want to get kids involved with OnStar too, because then they start to realize what type of safety, but it's not just the boring safety stuff, it's also the fun stuff. And Family Link is a new service that we're offering, and that is a pay service that the customer can track their vehicle when their kids are teenagers and driving the vehicle. They can keep track of the kids with the Family Link locator. So we do have a lot of great features from OnStar for children. Some other safety features. For us, if the driver is safe, then that means the kids inside the vehicle are safe. So we try to build the safest vehicles we can. We have automatic headlamps. Our customers never have to manually turn on and off their headlights. They have automatic headlights. A sensor on the dash says it's dusk, it's time to turn on those headlights, okay? But we always have daytime running lights as well. Those will turn off with the automatic headlights. So when your automatic headlights come on, your headlights, dash lights, and tail lights come on. We also have stability control with roll mitigation to try to keep the customer as safe as possible. We have front laminated acoustic glass and side acoustic glass as well. Passenger sensing system. I think everyone here in this room is probably familiar with the passenger sensing system. For us, it's a bladder in the front passenger seat that looks at how weight is being distributed to determine whether or not the passenger airbag should be on or off. And here's the thing, ours doesn't set by a number. Ours sets by how the weight on that bladder is being distributed. And it was specifically made so that if you had to put a booster seat or a car seat in that front passenger seat, it will never turn the airbag on. Those runners on the outside of that seat turn off the airbag. So we've got great safety features there. I think some of you already saw this week. Again, to keep mom and dad safe in the vehicle, we have an industry-first, industry-exclusive center side airbag in our new Traverse that will actually keep the driver from hitting the passenger and the passenger from hitting the driver in either driver or passenger side collision. So a lot of things in there to keep mom and dad safe, which means we're keeping the kids safe. Some other features, we've got lane departure warning. If mom or dad are tired and they cross a line without using the turn signal, we give them an audible alert to let them know they've done that in case they were tired at the wheel and they didn't turn their turn signal on and they were kind of swerving out of the lane. Our vehicle will let them know. Also, we have the side blind zone alert so that they won't actually turn into a lane where there is some traffic that they can't see in their blind spot. Brake assist, great forward collision alert, collision mitigation. These are features that are coming on our new Impala in 2014. Electric vehicle safety. There's a lot of hybrid vehicles and a lot of electric vehicles out there. We have a battery cutoff switch and cable cut points that are clearly identified on all of our vehicles. Automatic shutoff if there is an airbag deployment or side impact. OnStar, our OnStar center actually has a separate area that just takes calls for electric vehicles. So our Volt customers actually get they go to a totally separate OnStar advisor who knows that this customer's in an electric vehicle, we need to send someone different. We need to let the first responders know. And it alerts the first responders that it is a hybrid or an electric vehicle. There's our Volt. You can clearly see the 300-volt electrical system there with the orange cables. Just wanted to give you a good look there. There's our Silverado hybrid. And here's our new Malibu with the e-assist. Under the hood of the Malibu Eco, we actually have 2 tags with fire department helmets on them to let them know those are the 2 cut points to disable the 300-volt electrical system. because we don't want a first responder to get injured when they respond to an accident with one of our vehicles. And there is a first responder app. This is not our app, but we provide the information for our hybrid and electric vehicles. It's the quick reference guide. If you just go to QRG in the App Store for an iPad or an iPhone, this is, unfortunately, it's just for Apple users, but you can download the quick reference guide, and it will show you all hybrid vehicles built and all electric vehicles built. So if you are a first responder, that's a great reference tool for you. It stays up to date, but this did start back in 2011. So I tried to encompass everything while not being too car boring. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Is there anything in the works about linking the headlight system with the windshield wipers? I mean, I know it's a North Carolina state law, and other states don't have it, but as soon as visibility for rain, if you're using your windshield wipers, your headlights come on automatically.
Well, remember that all GM vehicles come with daytime running lights, and the police departments have said our daytime running lights are enough. But if it's dark enough, the ambient light sensor on the dash will actually override the daytime running lights and turn on your headlights.
Well, and I understand that, and we've got a 59 Impala Chevrolet, so we
Oh.
always, Bobby Murray was my cousin, so.
Time to change it up.
I've got a Tahoe with 308,000 in the parking lot, so I'm all about it. But in running the vehicles, it just doesn't seem like that's what's activating it when you get into a rain. It would have
It's
to
not.
be.
It's the ambient light sensor that activates it, so it's
So,
not.
I mean, and sometimes just using your wipers, the visibility could be low, but not low enough to activate that sensor. So if there was any move to have that linked to it.
I'm not aware that there is right now. We've got, and I apologize on my voice, unlike Suzanne, I'll probably need the speakerphone though. But we've got rain sensing wipers on some vehicles, but to address your question, are we looking at matching that up with when headlights come on and we've got a condition of rain or moisture? I'm not aware right now that we've got it in the near future.
Just started on Chevrolet first.
Started on Chevy. Well, we do represent the vast majority, so I'm with you.
Thank you, Allison. That was great. Are there questions for Suzanne, Claudia, or myself that we might could answer related to hot cars, kids in and around cars?
How many of you do hot cars event or have?
Suzanne, I do have one question.
Yeah.
Your display that you had,
Yes.
had the internal and external temperature?
Yes.
Is that something that you guys have, or where did you get access to that display?
Safe Kids North Carolina has brought that to us, so work with your injury prevention rep, is that right?
You can request it, and when we can, I mean, we, can't guarantee, but the earlier you ask and reserve it for your event, the better chance that one of our staff we can come and set it up for you.
And we're purchasing, you can purchase those, we're actually gonna, I've gotten approval finally to purchase one. So if anybody's in the Wake County area and theirs is occupied, I'm happy to loan, I'll be happy to loan it out, as well. But, and before we had that, we even put our own just, temperature gauges in there, as well. So they're around to use.
We'll work with you if at all possible. We'll be there.
Yeah,
Kelly, did you want to come up?
Just one thing to,
Come up, come
nah,
up.
that's okay.
Come on,
One
Kelly.
thing to suggest.
Come on there, I wanna hear you.
Kelly.
Come on.
They won't look at you.
Got tired eyes then. One of the things, just a suggestion, they've mentioned here Bobby Murray Chevrolet on more than one occasion. Bobby Murray Chevrolet is a very good supporter here locally. There's no doubt about it. They've been around in this community a long time. For all the rest of you that are scattered throughout the state, please reach out to any one of our GM dealerships. I mean, I'm specifically with Chevrolet here locally, so I love to see the Chevy bow tie out there, but whether it's Buick, GMC, Cadillac, or your local Chevrolet dealer. I hope that if you've approached them, the answer's been yes, they want to support you. If not, or you've not done it, please reach out to them, because we've got, as you heard a little bit from Allison, an awful lot on our cars and trucks to incorporate safety into the community, and a lot of it is education. And while we're not the only ones that produce cars and trucks with safety, the competition does it as well. But I would just encourage you to reach out to your local GM dealer, and you know, if you've got a picture, 2 examples of like what these ladies have done or you've done in your own marketplace, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Mr. Dealer, here's what I'd like to do. Can I borrow one of your cars for a weekend? I would venture to say probably everyone will answer yes. If not, holler at me. Jan knows how to reach me, and I'll get involved to try and help. Thank you. And thanks for all the Chevys that are out in the parking lot. It's nice to see.
I was going to tell you a lesson learned. Carl was, from Bobby Murray, was nice enough to give me a referral when we were doing an event down in New Bern area. And so he gave me the gentleman's name, and I called, and I said, you know, Carl, and you know, and they were just, yes, we'll be happy to help you. And so I got there to pick up the vehicle, and they had gone to great, you know, a lot of extra trouble to get me this beautiful black pickup truck. And I did not want to, I just couldn't say, you know, oh man, can I have anything but black? Because I knew, you know, they were like, we got the perfect car. And so I learned this lesson that day, and I said, well, that'll be okay. You know, it was fine that it was a truck and everything. The lesson I learned that was more people commented on, oh yeah, these dark cars get really hot. So I kind of lost my message there. They loved the truck and were checking that out big time. But if you have a choice, don't get black, you know, just because they might be thinking like that, oh yeah, she wants it to get really hot, so let's give her a black one. So that was just a little point.
We feel like they could, after our event, they ought to sell it real quick, because it smells like chocolate for a while. After we do our event in July, it reeks of chocolate, so that might be a good way to.
We should, they've loaned us so many, we should do a study and see if the ones sell better quicker after they get that chocolate fragrance in there. But another thing, you know, we know if you look at statistics, SUVs, trucks, the numbers are higher with these tragedies. But the other message, like you'll see today, I think of, is that considered mid-size? Is a Malibu mid-size car, you know? And that style you'll see today, and if you've never done it, sit in the driver's seat and I tell, we don't do this at the fair, but we'll do it here. Sit in there and look. I've got the rug rolled out with the measurements, and I've got a little sign back there. And you will be amazed, even with a car that size, how many kids could be back there. One time we had a similar size car, and one of the first ones we ever did with Commissioner Jim Long, and I think it was 30 kids at a daycare. I got behind the car, and they couldn't be seen. Just, you know, just a short distance behind the car. It was just to make the point, but for the media again. But any other questions? We've got these posters that we had done, like for daycares. It says, "Forget me not, kids alone in cars or kids in danger." And I've got more out at the car if you want to pick them up there. I'll put them on the front seat. But if you want to grab some, you could have some made. Suzanne reminded me that, you know, she has them in English and Spanish, and I apologize. I was trying to multitask. And even though we did have some in Spanish, I failed to get here with them. So if you would like that, let me know, and I'll see if I can shoot you some in the mail this week when we get back. So.
And I meant to say before, one thing to do that we've done is we have security in all of our buildings, but something we've done and we encourage you to do, and we're going to get a even bigger group to do it. I know it sounds far-fetched, but especially those of you that work in, you know, agencies where you have really large parking areas. You know, we have a security firm that does our contracts for security, and they're great, but they're not going to do anything extra. And really, they're great, but it's not. So we have employees that have been willing to walk around the parking lot, particularly in the hotter months, and just be aware, like, you know, parking lot bandits, we call them, and go around and see if we see anybody. I mean, we're really, you know, diligent about doing that. Also, when you come into our building, in the hot months, we're ordering signs. We've done this in our children's health clinic. Kim, you guys would do it. Did you bring your child today?
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. I mean, you have to ask people that, and, you know, people want to hurry in a minute and run in, and it's not just heat related, it's, you know, someone abducting a child. So always just remember, you know, to ask those reminders for families that are coming to access your services.
Just a suggestion, do we ever try for the grocery store and have the sign actually ask to post it up at the door?
That's a great thing for you to do when you go
That's
home.
wonderful. To me, pediatrician, anywhere you can ask if you can put these signs would be wonderful. And you know, this is really the right time because, like Suzanne said, that was like a dream come true to have lights, you know, remote. They were at our location at noon in July. Well, it was 100 degrees that day, or 100 plus, more than 100. And so they really were looking at hot story. You know, they didn't have a fire, the firefighters weren't having heat strokes, so they said, well, we'll come out for that. But March and April is the perfect time to launch a campaign like this because this has been a little unusually, the weather's been cooler this year, but normally, by now, we're starting to have 70-degree days. And we have this week, I think I saw it 70. So that's great. And share your ideas with us because these are just some of the things that we tried, and I'm sure there's more. And I did actually do a train the trainer workshop with like the daycare providers, the ones that go around and do the inspections, hoping that they would go back to their communities and when they're doing their daycare annual inspections and trainings and stuff, that they would make that part of it. I mean, to me, I wish it was a law that, you know, and I know things, and you probably know this too, like the daycare, the buses that do the pickups and deliveries and stuff, and they have some type of device in the back, and they are supposed to walk down to the back and hit that button, make sure they looked at under every seat, and make sure no children fell asleep and they just can't see. And then I had stories at that workshop I did where they were actually saying that, well, the driver, they had evidence that the driver would ask the kids to hit that button in the back. So, you know, nothing's 100%. So you have to education, awareness, and just, you know, like one at a time. Just every chance. Start with your family. I have 5 grandchildren now. And one of my daughter-in-laws was an older first-time parent. And one day I knew that she had just for a second, you know, left the child asleep in the car and ran inside my son's office. And so when I tried to talk to her about it, because, you know, I had to. I couldn't live with myself if I didn't. And she said, yeah, I know well, that wasn't on the concrete. I know the asphalt gets really hot, but this was just like in the, you know, gravel driveway. And I was like, so some people, and she's an attorney, and I'm, you know. So I'm just telling you, you might think it's a no-brainer and that everybody knows this stuff, but they don't. They don't think we're talking about them. They think it's somebody else. And those parents were the most loving, caring parents that told their sad stories. It just happens to good people, and we know that. And Claudia, thank you again for sharing your story. So if you meet us out in front of the skybox at the Malibu, we'll race to get out there. We'll see if we can beat you. And wrap it up. Have a wonderful